bet on 2 golfers to win this tournament. I did the obligatory this is the Players Championship strategy, which might work depending on who wins the NBA and the Stanley Cup title, and UConn won. So we people might have Scheffler Players Championship rolling into some really fun stuff here. Scheffler, Nuggets, Panthers. That's like, just, how is that parlay not in everyone's account this weekend? How's it not? Then you got a little something on Scheffler. You could bet whoever you want in this tournament. This is a way to play Scheffler, and you're playing with like the 2 teams that make me a lot of money and make me filthy rich, and will now make you really a lot richer, which would be great if they win, which maybe they won't, but it'd be a fun sweat the rest of the way. In terms of just like straight up just to win, I like the price on Morikawa. Played really, really well at the Masters, has been playing really well recently, reconciled with his swing coach, has major championship form in his back class, won the PGA Championship before, is kind of the guy who breaks like the distance driving like requirements on the big boy courses where Koepka plays well and Scheffler plays well and Rory plays well. So Morikawa just kind of made some sense to me, and he's in form, and he's a major winner, 2-time major winner. So that's kind of all I'm going with here. Scheffler and some parlays. I might throw Rory in one just because if he wins, I'm just going to be really mad that I have no exposure whatsoever. But other than that, just Morikawa for me, Peach.
Let's bring in Tyler Morales to give out all of his favorite plays for the PGA Championship. Tyler, what do you like?
All right, here we go. I got a bunch of stuff here. Outright.
Buckle up.
Yep, buckle up, everybody. I want no PGA Tour guys. I've seen enough over this season. I'm going to go with the live guys, and I'm going to go with the unknown. I'm going to be like Eric Bischoff here. I have the NWO behind me. We're crashing the PGA Championship, and we're winning this thing. Got Brooks 18-1, Bryson 30-1, and there's still John Rahm 20s out there. I didn't bet it as much as I did with Brooks and Bryson, but I took John Rahm 20-1 as well. Again, people are using the argument that Rahm hasn't won on live. If these events were 4 rounds, I think he steals at least 1 or 2. You're telling me he's not beating out like Brendan Steele or like Abe Anster in one of these events on Sunday? I like Rahm a ton, so I took 3 live guys at the outrights. I'm kind of scared of Aubert, Rory, and Hovland, but we'll go those 3 with the outrights. We're going all live for those. Placement bets. Ben On, top 20, plus 220. Dean Burmeister, he's a live guy as well, who's been playing out of his mind and winning over in Europe a ton. He's plus 350 to finish top 20. I like him as well. Taylor Pendrith just won. He's long and straight off the tee and can kind of go low. This tournament's going to be like minus 13, minus 14. This isn't going to be like a single-digit major. Pendrith plays really good when the scores are in double digits, so we're going to take Pendrith, top 20, plus 450. And PJ's guy, everyone keeps bringing him up on the show. I like Sepp Straka as well, plus 275 to finish top 20. Top 10. I feel like Victor Hovland's close. On Sunday last week, he actually gained like 5 strokes approach, which he hasn't done like all season. It kind of showed a little bit of glimpses. I don't think he's going to win, but I think he's going to play really well. So we get to top 10 plus 320 I like as well. And another live guy, Tyrrell Hatton, top 10 plus 375. Another guy playing really well over in live again. If this were 4-round events, he's going to be competing in one of these, so we like him the top 10. Head-to-heads, I'm basically fading any guy that hits it short and inaccurate. You have no chance of winning here if that's your skill set. Wyndham Clark over Cam Smith, I like. Matthew Pavone over Eric Cole, I like it. To Eric Cole, I mean, he might go 30 over on this weekend. I do not like him at all. And then Taylor Moore over Tom Hoagie, we like as well. Taylor Moore, really straight off the tee. He's been playing really well, really good approach player. So we're going to take Taylor Moore over Tom Hoagie. I mean, I hit Bryson first-round leader here, 75-1, when everyone thought he was dead, and I didn't. This show didn't think he was dead, so we gotta try this again. First-round leader card, Bryson DeChambeau, 35-1. These are all AM guys, by the way. Bryson DeChambeau, 35-1. Ben On, 50-1. Our guy again, Dean Burmeister, 80-1. Keith Mitchell, 80-1. Taylor Pendrith again, 90-1, and Keegan Bradley, 100-1. So Bryson and a bunch of long shots here. They're all playing in the AM. Like Ryan Newman said when he came on our show, the morning might be soft, and these guys are going to be firing at pins. We saw Bryson go low at the Masters when it was soft. He did the same thing at the PGA Championship last year, first-round leader. He's been first-round leader twice in the last, 5 majors. So we're going to go first-round leader there. And here's maybe my favorite bet of them all, and we're going to mention this guy once again. Top South African, Dean Burmeister, 2-1. You got to see some of the names on this list. It's like Christian Bezainhu, and a bunch of, Tristan Lawrence, maybe Trevor Lawrence's brother, no idea who that is. He's like a Euro guy.
Thurston?
Yeah, Tristan Lawrence.
He's on our
Thurston
screen right
Lawrence.
now, and I don't know how to even pronounce the name. Is that Ryan
Van
Velzen? Who the hell is this guy? Yeah.
I bet golf, religious. I have no idea who Ryan Van Velzen is. So we're going to take Dean Burmeister at plus 190. And those are all of my bets, I believe. Head-to-head, outright placements, first-round leader, top South African.
These series where all the home team win like the first 5 games,
Sure.
I just feel like, Ken, in game 6, like when we're all just expecting like, okay, the home team has won every game in the series, we're going back, and that team gets their final home game, they're going to win and force a game 7. It just feels like that game 6 is always competitive. We saw it in that Orlando Cleveland series, right? That series has kind of been comparable to this one in the sense that the Magic, especially early on in that series, looked like a completely different team when they were in Cleveland and when they were in Orlando. And it was the same thing. The home team had won every game in that series. You go back to Orlando for games, or you go to Orlando for game 6, and the Cavs nearly win that game. It comes right down to the wire. So I feel like this is going to play out that way. Certainly in game 3, we saw the Knicks play a tight game against the Pacers where they easily could have won. Nembhard hits that crazy shot. I like them plus the 4.5. I agree with Mike Gallagher that I think they found something a little bit with Deuce McBride. And look, Brunson kind of looks back to like being himself. I mean, that mid-range game it killed Indiana last night. It's been fun, Ken, kind of watching his like points prop throughout the series. Got as high as 37.5, went down to 32.5. Now we're back at 34.5 on BetMGM. But we're getting a buy low point on DiVincenzo. He didn't hit a 3 last night, and they still won by 30. 17.5 points is his prop. So I like the Knicks in this spot. It just, again, it feels like because every team, the home team has won every game in this series, we're headed back to Indiana. The home team is dominated. It just feels like we're headed to MSG for a game 7. These are the kind of spots where I kind of like backing the road team. So I'll take my chances with New York. Everybody just assumes we're getting a 7th game. I certainly like them plus the 4.5. I'm going to bet them on the money line as well. But that for me is just kind of the handicap. I feel like when we get the winner, the first 5 games, the home team wins every game. That game 6, I just feel like is kind of, it's always a close game. So I like the Knicks to keep it close. I like them to win as well. I think they're going to win the series.
I mean, you make a compelling case. I don't know what it would be about game 6 where it's like that's where it stops. But I agree with you. Like the longer a series goes, like it's like pattern recognition. It's like, oh, well, it's been A, B, B, A. So it like has to be B because that's like where the series is located. It's like, no, it could just be A. Like it could just be A because every game's different. Just this one. So in general, I think I agree with you. This one's just so nuts. Like it's just the way this entire series is played out. I don't know if I'm gonna bet Indiana yet because it's like, well, you said you thought they were gonna win a game 6. Well, yeah, they're a 4.5 point favorite. Like in order to bet them, I have to feel like they're more likely to win by margin than that, and more likely to win than a minus 210 price tag. And maybe they're a little more likely to win than that. They're definitely the more likely of the 2 teams to win, but that's just where price comes into play. I don't think at this price, I don't think I can bet the Knicks. But your point's well taken. Like when we get into the deep water of a series, it doesn't have to play out the way some of the earlier rounds. Think of it like a boxing match, right? Like the way the second round went, the 12th round doesn't have to go that way, or the 11th round doesn't have to go that way. To your point, the other home court thing, though, just really quick, and like I don't know how to feel about this because there's a part of me that loves it, and there's a part of me that's just like imagining something going wrong when like I have the opposite side. One of the storylines of this Knicks home court MSG thing is that John Starks and Stephon Marbury are basically allowed to be on the court. They're just allowed to be on the court all the time. Doesn't matter. And I see a lot of people tweeting like, this is the coolest thing, former players, and they're like celebrating like they're dads of the players that are playing right now. This is my favorite part of this run. It's like, well, that's really cool. Until it's game 3 of the finals and Jokic like goes to inbound it and John Starks like hits him in the shoulder. It's like what and then what are we doing? Like and then like what is this? Like it feels to me it's almost like I have 2 young kids and we're all about setting boundaries right now. Like it's really important like here's what you can do and here's what you can't do. Like when you're on your bike, don't go past this street, and if you do, like you're in trouble, and don't do this, and if you do, you're in trouble. And if you don't do that, what do young kids do, right? They push the boundaries a little more. Well, I'm going to go another block and see if he says anything. I'm going to go 2 more blocks, see if he says anything. I'm going to sneak a cookie when he's not looking, see if he says anything. And be like, well, that's why you have to be tough love sometimes. It feels like John Starks and Stephon Marbury are like my kids, where they're like, well, can I make it to the baseline and nobody says anything?
Right.
Well, what if I go right under the stanchion? Well, what if I like take 2 steps onto the court? What if I like hit the like smack the butt of a Knicks player as he runs by after he made a 3 like in the corner? Like, what's the next step? Like, what's like, well, they're letting me get away with all this stuff. Like, do you think anybody like talks to him before the games and be like, hey, like, this is really cool. Also, like, you should probably be getting thrown out of every one of these games. With the Nuggets and Jokic from last night, I think one thing you usually do really, really well is just, okay, like, you know, maybe I have some idea why something worked or why something happened, but you give me kind of a lot more detail on, well, how it worked and what they're doing and how it happened. Just maybe some context on, like, is it just as simple as Jokic is that good? How has Denver won 3 straight games in this series?
Well, I'll tell you what, I put a lot of it on Jokic is that good. So that's the easy answer, right, for most people. But when you really look at how they've been able to do this schematically, I think the biggest turnaround was from game 2 to 3, obviously, because game 2 they were suffocated. I mean, that was about as good a defensive performance that Minnesota put on them in game 2 of this series, I think, as I can recall in the playoffs, particularly against a team as good offensively as Denver with a player that great. They were completely futile, inept that night. And the aggressiveness of Minnesota, they caved. And they go to game 3 in Minneapolis, and I was calling that game, so I was very anxious to sit there courtside and see like what the difference is going to be. What they have done since then, they've done a much better job of creating space for their ball handlers, their drivers, their shooters, guys that just receive entry passes on the wing. They're not getting pushed out so far on the floor. The pressure is not affecting them in the backcourt or at half court because their screening has been significantly better. And I talked to Michael Malone before game 3 about it, and he said he looked at the tape and it was atrocious. There was too many defenders were getting in between the screener and the ball handler, whether it was a dribble drive, a dribble screen, or a dribble handoff, which are 2 big weapons for Denver. You had Jade McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley. Those guys were all getting in between the space between the 2 Denver players, and it was eliminating everything they were trying to do. So they had to go into game 3, and they had to adjust to that. Screening was significantly better. Now, something else that I think has turned this around, Jamal Murray's just healthier. He didn't look as good last night, but I thought game 3 and game 4, he had his acceleration and burst, confidence back. And that was something that was really hurting their offense in the first 2 games in Denver. He was completely taken out of the series, and his calf was bothering him. He looks like he's close to 100% now, so that's a big weapon for them. So now what they've done is got Minnesota back on their heels. It's like, get off me. The pressure's not bothering me anymore. And as a result, Minnesota doesn't really have a counterpunch defensively. Now they're trying to play more single coverage, and Jokic is destroying whoever's in front of them in the post and single coverage. The 2-man game, now that they've got some space to operate it, is as good as this league has ever seen. And they're now operating in that space at a really high level, forcing Minnesota into all kinds of reactions. So I really think what you've seen the last 3 games says a lot more about Denver than anything that it says about Minnesota, other than maybe they're not quite ready to take that leap.